There we go. Okay. Whew. Whew, whew, whew. Hey, OD Xavier, good to see you. I think we should be live. Yeah, it looks like everything's good. Good. I had the snake dream again last night. No, I will not elaborate. That's fine. You don't need to. All right. So good news and bad news, I guess. Good news is, looking at the shattering, I was like, oh, I'm making some good progress on this. The bad news, it's gonna be long. It's gonna be another long one. I thought, shattering, it'll just be Morgoth and a little thing like this will be easy. That's not even gonna have the tarnish stuff in it. Oh, I was wrong. Hey, Mercy, good to see you. Oh, I was so wrong. I was so wrong. Goodness me. Like, I mean, just the stuff on Morgoth becoming king requires so much. And then same thing with like the alliance. You're like, okay, this is gonna be simple and easy to explain. It's like, oh no, it is not. And then you're like, okay, well, at least we, you know, the second defensive lane Dell isn't gonna take the. Oh no, it's taking up quite a bit. All right, but okay, but like the general shattering, like we're just giving like the overview. It's like, oh no, that's actually gonna be like a little chunk too. Okay, well, it's not that long, right? So, I mean, once we get to the aftermath, so it's like, oh no, that's when we enter the competitive. That's when we enter competitive length. Like, oh no, I completely forgot just how much there is. Okay, so getting a look at everything, it's looking like, yeah. Oh, this one doesn't have it. Good to know. This character doesn't have a torch, does he? No, damn. I'm sure there's something here. I can't see it, whatever. That one has it. That one has it. Cool. This one doesn't have windows, doesn't matter. Yeah, these have it. Okay. There we go. You love a beaver. Oh boy, it's gonna be a beefy thesis, I think. Like, I think already with the outline and stuff, it's at 15-ish pages. And that's gonna grow to at least 20, could be over 25. It's just, yeah, there's just a lot to cover. I think the thing that makes it is that, like, it's when you have to dig down and you're like, okay, why are the characters, it's really the psychology stuff. It's why are the characters doing what they're doing at this point? Like, what do they know? What are they thinking about? Like, why is this the most sensible option for them, right? Given what we're aware of. Oh, 1 second, chat, Duggo. There we go. Sorry about that. Duggo wanted to open the door, and I wasn't sure if she wanted to go out or she just kind of wanted to be able to, like, you know, peek out and be like, oh, is there anyone coming? Is there anyone coming to steal your stuff? Oh, yeah. So these have it too. This is interesting because this door didn't get properly sealed clearly, even though they clearly intended to. I also find it interesting in general. Let's... Oh, you know what? Actually, no, this way, right? Because this takes us to the staircase. I remember. I'm actually curious now. What about this side? Get me up there. Put me in, coach. There we go. Ooh. Woo. Okay, yeah, they have it here too. That one's funny. Oh, they didn't do it for that. Or that one, okay. Yeah, so I'm willing to chalk some of these up to oversight by the devs. Yeah, because it does really look like... It really does look like they were trying to do it for, like, basically all of them. Yeah, like you got them up here and this side too. Yeah. You say that like the room bears ever choose the most sensible option in any given situation. Okay, so room bears are monsters from the pits of hell, right? Like They are not designed to be logical creatures. They are designed to make your life a living hell. Whoops. I'm not expecting logic from those monstrosities. Besides, they're only in Far Missoula. We don't have to talk about them for the shattering. Thank you. I still kind of want to look into that thing, though, about the bears in Altus. Because if it's true that these bears, they basically get despawned when Ash and Langdell triggers. That's the only thing I can think of right now that's the factor that's causing them to not to appear in one of my playthroughs. It's like, oh, yeah, Ash Langdell is here now. And if that's actually the case, that's kind of crazy, because the implication would most likely be that, like, you know, Godfrey came by the Ariza tombs and killed all the bears, you know, as like a little side project, which, considering that's a base game thing, and be like, wow. Now, I want to believe most likely it was like just a glitch in my game. Like, that's what I want to believe, mostly because like it would seem so weird that they did that for just the Ariza grave and nothing else, right? Like, it's almost like too good to be true, right? Oh, that's stone. Okay. Yep. Yep. There we go. Yep, those are sealed. Sealed, yep. Yeah, so it definitely looks like the idea was to seal as much as possible. Oh, is this just loading thing, or are those actually not done? Sealed, sealed. Sealed. Yeah, these are sealed. Okay, yeah. Sealed. Sealed. Yeah, it feels like if there's ever an odd one out, it's almost definitely an oversight, right? Room bearers unsubscribing. Oh, whoops. Lol. I cannot read. All right, so let's go over that question again. Do the room bearers... I prefer if you use the term shard bearers, Nick, because, you know, that's what the game uses, and I'm just like... My brain clearly cannot read that properly otherwise, but, like, so shard bearers... I mean... Okay. Obviously, the game outright tells you that they go mad, essentially, right? But so does America, quote unquote, right? And as I've said all the way back with my Dark Souls stuff, you know, madness, like 90% of the time, it's never actually madness. It's moral degeneracy, essentially. Oh, this person is doing something which no moral person would ever do. So they're just crazy, right? It's that idea. That somehow sanity, yet rationality, is automatically tied to morality, and therefore anything which is not moral is thereby irrational. Yep, yep. Okay, okay, okay. So, in that sense, you're right, right? Like, all of the idea with the demigods is clearly, you know, these are, these are all madmen. How could they all be killing each other to acquire the great runes and become Elden Lord? Even though most of them aren't trying to become Elden Lord. How could they do this? They must be crazy, right? So yes, I understand that part. But, like, again, when you consider each of the demigods' perspectives, what their goals are, what they're trying to do, it all is very much logical and makes sense. Oh, okay, so this one is here. What about the rest of the building? Oh, yeah, that's definitely a mistake then, 'cause why would you seal all the windows and then not the door? Yeah, this is just a mistake then. Yeah, I wonder if the idea is that they had the sap stuff is separate from the actual building meshes, so they had to manually put in the sap for each of the buildings, and then they just missed it, or if it was just one of those things where they had a bunch of presets and they didn't think, oh, you know, like in this area the door is going to be visible, so we're not going to be bothering, and then they copy pasted some of those assets to other areas, and it, you know, it's like, oh, whoops, we forgot about the door. If you consider that the shutters on the windows might have been a rudimentary form of defense for the citizenry of Leendale, definitely would have been a good thing to have against the dragons. So, as in what you'd be saying is that what we're seeing in the lower quarter isn't necessarily having to do with the shattering. It has to do with ancient dragon war, and the idea would be that it would be somehow useful. Well, it doesn't make sense for Grandsax's attack, because Grandsax's attack is kind of, you know, it's sudden, it's happening, it's ongoing. Like, you don't really have the opportunity to go, like, you know, sealing up your doors and windows. Also, I think the problem would be, like, it doesn't matter if you're like, oh, wow, I've really sealed it up so the fire doesn't get through the spaces, I guess. It's still Grandsax crushing you or burning your house down, right? Like, I don't think the sap is going to be that as helpful in that regard. So the next question would be, okay, what about the battle with Godwin and stuff outside the walls? Like, maybe they would be preemptive in that case. Again, that wouldn't make sense either, because again, the buildings down there would already have been destroyed in Grandsax's rampage. So, like, why would you be doing that, right? I think the idea was probably is that Morgott gave a royal decree and basically just said nobody's allowed back in their homes. You're going to be on the clock, on duty 24/7. And so the idea was that they essentially sealed up the houses and the windows and stuff so people just couldn't get in. So everybody's basically like, you know, you're locked in. I'm pretty sure that's the idea. Because seeing all this, it's very clear that with few exceptions, the idea is to have it all covered up. And I'm willing to attribute that to developer oversight. And then when we get out over here, like, it starts here, right? So this is the starting point, right? Stops about here for outside, right? But when we actually go in here and stuff, we can quite clearly see that it basically applies throughout this entire home, right? So again, this is like a Banished Knight home, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go through the whole history right now. But it's very clear the idea is basically almost all the conscripted commoners we encounter are here at the, for lack of a better term, perfumer headquarters, trying to receive treatment. Oh, sorry, buddy. There we go. So I think the idea is that, especially considering we're seeing these guys who apparently seem to die even standing up and stuff, right? I think the idea is basically just like they're hungry, they're thirsty, they're tired, but they're being constantly forced to keep going or whatever, right? And so the idea seems to be to get treatment, right? But a lot of them are just kind of, I guess for lack of a better term, dropping dead, right? Or it's just too much. And again, we only see the conscripted guys over there at that headquarters building, or like we were at earlier in the down this avenue, right? And we have a similar idea where they're clearly just like tired. Right. There we go. So with that in mind, I just don't think, I still think at least when it comes to the lower town, we're dealing with two separate events here for this sealing with, I forget, did the game files confirm that it's sap, or is this just something that we've pretty much all kind of agreed this is like some sort of sap or grease or however you want to word it? Clearly something that you would find like a tree resin. And then you compare it to over here. Now, if I recall correctly, up here, it's basically all unsealed. So, of course, the town, well, it's not really a town. It's more like, you know, it's like one of those gated communities, you know? But basically, the priest town here, right? The place where all the clergy, let's call it the cleric quarter, right? This one is pretty much all unsealed, except for this building. There's very clearly the idea that this building is an exception, and I believe this one probably is intentional. If it's just this one building, and specifically this one building that they make sure is completely sealed up, but then all the others are unsealed. I think that makes it pretty clear that they're intending the idea that obviously the clergy, the priesthood, they're the ones who are backing Morgott. They're the ones who are most trusted to stay by him. They're the ones who obviously he needs to keep happy to some extent, despite the whole I have to press you into service and send you onto the battlefield stuff. Like, that's understandable because, you know, it's about their survival. But it makes sense that if Morgott's going to institute a crackdown, the priests are basically going to be the exception, except for whatever that one guy's family did. Maybe he was being, you know, uncooperative. Yeah, it's called amber or sap or maybe resin, one of those. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to ask around to confirm 100% which one it is because, yeah, it looks like it, right? It looks like it's some sort of, you know, sap or something that, you know, it's just a little oozy, but then it dries and it becomes this annoying solid. Also, interesting timeline things I noticed. I saw this earlier. Let me bring it up. Well, let's go over here first. Unfortunately, we don't have the shot of yeah, we don't have the shot of Morgott, right? With the thrones here. Oh yeah, perfect. So other things I noticed, which I really appreciated. Yeah, okay. Perfect. You notice that? I don't know if it's yeah, it's not really that clear for you guys, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a little small. Let me get the bigger one. Do you guys notice back there? You can see it a lot more easier in this foreground here. But it's very clear there that the thorns of rejection, or as the English calls it, the impenetrable thorns, are already present during this sequence of Morgott laying his king's crown on the throne and then waltzing off to battle. Right, so we're literally seeing the moments before he makes a name for himself as Margit. We're seeing the birth of Margit, the fair omen. Right. Man. Yeah, but looking at all this, this makes it clear to me. It's like, okay, we can say timeline wise that the thorns, the impenetrable thorns, must have basically appeared almost immediately after Marika and Radigan get imprisoned. So that's good to know. It wasn't like, oh, it's after it's after Mulaney and Radon fought or something. No, it's like 100%. The thorns were basically always blocking off everybody from the start. Which I find, I find it interesting because that's now a factor that probably the priesthood is aware of, right? Almost certainly. Morgott obviously knew from the very start. The demigods might have also had an idea, but again, it's difficult to say because, like, we don't get too many details. But I have to imagine that the demigods would at the very least be able to very quickly notice the thorns and stuff, and or at least have some understanding of the tree. I can't imagine it's just Morgott. Yeah, it's the same visual as the sap from Halig Tree, but the Halig Tree is a different color. Yeah, that would make sense to me. Yeah, but these thorns and everything. This I find that very helpful that we have confirmation thanks to the trailer. So yeah, it looks like from the start, Morgoth definitely had, he definitely knew that the Erdtree was keeping everybody out. That probably also is a big reason, because what happened was probably because Morgoth obviously, like 100% Morgoth doesn't know about the Radigan rune thing, and we don't know if the priesthood would be informing him about that stuff necessarily or anything like that. But it's very obvious that he would interpret this as the Erdtree itself making a decision and not Radigan influencing it in any regard. And so he would think that, oh, the Erdtree doesn't accept me, it doesn't accept anybody, it's not accepting any of that. So we need to discuss and prove before the Erdtree in a peaceful, wonderful forum why we should, you know, why, you know, you or I or blah, 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 right? And we'll make our arguments and debates with each other. So I think that's actually, I think that's a nice, like, clarifying piece, right? Because obviously if it was available, you can definitely make more of a case that Morgoth would have been smarter to get violent, right? To like lure the demigods and stuff into a trap or something like that without their armies or something, you know? Pick them off one by one potentially. Instead, he of course invites them all to join an alliance. There we go. So that's clarifying there. We have the stuff with the cleric quarter down there. That's clarifying when we compare it to the upper and the lower quarter. So I'm just going to assume that Morgoth basically gave out a decree. He excluded the cleric quarter, but the idea was basically every home everywhere is going to get sealed in order to prevent anyone from entering, right? I don't think the idea was to exit, because then this creates problems with, like, well, you're basically just condemning your entire city to die. Like literally, like there's no other way to interpret that except you're trying to kill them, because you're sealing them inside with no way for you to, you know, deliver food and shit. So like, I'm pretty sure the idea is that Morgoth is just trying to essentially keep people in, like, you know, under martial law, and not you know, trying to arrest or something with that. Again, he himself is unloving, so the idea that he's not really caring about everybody's well-being. He's just sort of focused on, you know, the Erdtree and nothing else. Gotta earn that cosmic parasite's respect somehow. No, but yeah, so the entire idea with the Erdtree and everything, I think the fact that they would even use sap, you could even, assuming it's like Erdtree sap or something like that, I think you can make the argument that actually, no, now that we mention it, I think it looks a lot like tree resin, doesn't it? Because tree resin has that same, like, orangey gold look, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the specific idea, is that it really is just Erdtree resin. Anyway, but the point is that I think that got applied to the lower quarter, because someone could theoretically go there, to hide and, you know, resist and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, just be better safe than sorry. Make sure all homes, even the ruined ones that are half buried and never be rebuilt, get sealed to the best of your ability, right? I think we could just hand wave some of the examples where it's like, really, they sealed a door that's like, you know, like 90% buried. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. It's kind of like how Grand Sex doesn't have, you know, ash on him whenever, you know, other stuff does and things like that. It's like, at some point, you're just like, okay, yeah. They were not, I can't think of everything. Yeah, there's nothing else here that would warrant. It's just the ramparts and stuff, right? And then here we have, oh yeah, I forgot, isn't there another guy over here? So yeah, it's not just the avenue, there's also one guy here, though to be fair, it looks like he's probably like the one guy. Oh. The east rampart here. Yeah, so they move the perfumers seem to move their laboratories into here. They requisition this home, take it over. Uh, anything else really worth mentioning with more? Oh, look, another one they don't. Wait, what about the rest of the... Yeah, stuff like this is obviously an oversight. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we got that. Yeah, okay. We also have this. Obviously, we have coffin carriages, so the idea that you have all these coffins which haven't been these coffins presumably filled with the dead, which are kind of just knocked over on the road and abandoned, like no one's bothered. So I guess the idea is that during the second defense of Langdell, you had so many dead to clean up and take care of and stuff like that. Because there's artillery barrages and things. Although we don't really... They don't really give us a lot to work with on that, admittedly. Whew. Right. Yeah, it's one of those weird things where, like, we get a little bit on the walls, but there's not really too much indication of death and destruction from the second defense of Langdell. I guess the carriages tell us there has to at least have been, at least soldiers and stuff had to die. That would probably be the fairest to say. It would be a little weird of why it's just in the streets then, unless the idea is like they were taking place and they just kind of got stopped and abandoned. No, it has to be during the conflict. Hey, Nobre. Good to see you. Okay. Wait. Well, that's convenient. Man, I love my incredibly convenient giant stone wing that goes straight into this, through this infrastructure, and doesn't do anything to here. Like, none of this should be like this. At the very least, these stones should be definitely out of place. Like, yeah, none of this should be holding. Yeah, okay, so that much is covered, I think, for this side. The only thing I'm not entirely sure on is why the lower quarter got massacred. Maybe the idea was because of destined death. Like, maybe they knew that maybe they were aware that the death root had taken hold in their graveyard, and they were like, oh god, this could spread. And the idea is they went on a purge. Look, I don't see how that would help, because you're just adding to the dead, right? Like, either way, they're gonna get affected by the death root, so... Yeah, this one's probably the most confusing to me. Let's see. Obviously, this happened after their homes were sealed and stuff, too. Got people locked out of their places. Could be a cooperation thing. Could they have just not want to cooperate? I don't know. That feels a bit weird. The dragon decided to land there not only to scare Langdale, but also give the country a world wonder that's neatly seated. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest, chat. I like the idea of like Grand Saxora being this towering force that remains, but I think the execution is pretty eh. I feel like they could have done a lot more with this. Like, I wish there was more ash covering it for obvious reasons, right? The conveniently missing ash, right? I feel like there's the fact that they didn't do like mining operations or something to kind of show the idea that they've been like getting rid of pieces and stuff like that. Like literally, like you've basically left entire sections of your wall. Whoever goddamn lived in these two houses. Yeah, now that you mention it, there should be two houses here. Also, how convenient that the two houses have like no foundation, no proper foundation. It's funny how that works. So like I feel like this way about a lot of Altus. I feel like that clearly they had a lot of different ideas they wanted to do to show and reflect some of the history there, but I don't feel like they integrated it as well as they've done it in other areas. Wave Colors in the Discord discovered a cool symbol that's allegedly only found the entrance of Anir Alim by the path when you spawn after the burning the seal and the entrance to the Divine Gate. Oh, that'd be cool. I wonder if that would I wonder if it could be a placeholder. Because I could see that being a placeholder that never got caught, but interesting if it's unique. Oh, that was dumb of me. Might have been that potential civil disobedience you were alluding to. Yeah, I just am struggling to imagine a scenario where it's like, why would they be civilly disobeying? And to the point that you're deciding you're going to massacre everyone? Oh. Like, that's the part that I'm like, Now, based on what we currently know, these people got massacred. Yeah, from what we know, these guys got massacred and stuff. Probably not recently. Because it seems like all the banished knights and stuff were sent to the battlefield on Gelmir during the Shattering, right? That's supposed to be the big battle of the Shattering on Gelmir, right? Try to take Volcano Manor. Oh, wait, these guys come out of the ground, right? So... ring with horizontal line through 2 curvy lines slowing down. Oh, cool. Kind of makes me think of runes, you know? Funny that. Hey, Radigan. Having a rough time? Kind of just having nothing to do but sit around with Marika? Alright, let me look closely. Do they just come off the floor? It's like that guy's just kind of... Well, that guy's already there. Okay, it looks like they just get themselves up. Okay. Oh no, but this guy digs himself out of the ground. Okay, so I wasn't hearing things. Uh-huh. Okay, cool. So it's just this guy that comes out of the ground then. Yeah, I thought so as well. That's why I found it interesting. I mean, again, we know for sure that the horn set have to have at least a piece of the Elden Ring. I would even be willing to say they must have like most, if not all of it. Or well, of course they did. That, or the idea was that they had enough pieces and then they gave it to Marika because she had the rest that, thanks to her clan and stuff, and was going to become god. That's the only thing I could think of. All right, let's see. Sorry guys, I gotta switch things over to live chat, make sure I'm not missing anything from you guys. Also, Loki, in DS2's King's Ring, does the first paragraph of a soul is a curse, stronger soul taken by stronger curse, simply mean that the curse will be stronger with a juicy, strong soul? Yes, that's the essential idea, is that, you know, curses are you know, curses are generally defined as magic, which can at least afflict a soul, and generally does afflict the soul in some way. And so the idea would be that if you have a stronger soul, then that becomes, it feeds the curse more and therefore creates a stronger curse, right? So there's this idea that, you know, kings can suffer the worst of the curse, which is kind of reflected in Vendrick, right? Like when we see him like hurl that big mass of hollowing and stuff at us in his boss fight, right? Like this idea that, you know, like Vendrick is just like this completely like consumed hollow that is nonetheless incredibly powerful, right? Even though, again, he looks like basically any other hollow, but just a giant man. Okay, so I think we've covered all the stuff inside here. Oh, you know what? I just remember now. No, there's also more of these conscripts inside Fortified Manor. God, I have to mention those too. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about, the aftermath stuff, when we're talking about, like, you know, Morgott basically, you know, getting paranoid, cracking down. Actually, some of this isn't even aftermath. You could actually make, yeah, you can make the case that all of this, yeah, I'd probably include this all in just the main shattering stuff. Stray dogs and things we would have to talk about. The stray dogs, like in the alleyway in the upper quarter. All right, gotta mention our pals here. So this guy going through the kitchen, this guy is trying to cook stuff, right? Again, hilarious that all this food has somehow stayed fresh, but whatever. I guess Morgott makes sure to keep it all stocked. I forget. I'm pretty sure it's just the abductor virgins in that side area, right? There's nothing else. Yeah, there's nothing here. Boop. Yeah, that's oh, I forgot what the item is here. I remember it being relatively informative with how it's under the portrait. All right, confirmation. Nothing here. All right. Let's go for Minor Tree Church. All right, so the idea would be that, yeah, a bunch of the dead being offered to the minor Erd trees here, because why not? But the area in this battlefield have been, for the most part, cleaned up. There's just this little bit at this camp here, which gets unfortunately interrupted by a tree spirit spawning in. Just very poor positioning, though honestly, I blame the Erd tree. Like, come on, man. I know you don't got eyes, but you gotta know where your people are at and not, you know, try to crush them to death with your autoimmune response. Yeah, all the trees are back here. Nothing really to see. And then when we get to this side, we see the remnants of the battlefield still and everything. We still see these metal missiles, lots of boats in there. He destroys the siege equipment. We see these banners, which were mistakenly Langdell army banners in the story trailer. I find that so funny. I mean, just the fact that they flipped Godric's army surcoats, like all the soldier surcoats were backwards. I don't know how that ended up happening, but that's so funny to me. And then you got all the nobles and stuff coming through here. We also have them down there. We have over here in Dominula. We have them over here too. I think a lot of these we could talk about. Let me double check. I think most of these we could talk about though, for Rykard and Gelmir and stuff. All right. Oh, whoops. Sorry, guys. The chat is not going down on its own. There we go. Gotcha. By the way, funny thing, the Hollow Vendrick model lacks beard hair on the top of his mouth and only has beard on his chin, Lamau. That is funny. I wonder if that was actually like a design or if they just kind of like forgot. Yeah, I think, you know what? I think it's fair. I think it's fair because we have the nobles over here who are clearly Godric guys with like the misbegotten. And then you got these guys who seem to just be kind of patrolling. And you make arguments about who are the people that end up getting burned so badly and end up washing themselves down here. But they can't be nobles because they just have the normal stray dogs, not the nobles dogs used here. So I'm pretty sure that's not the intention. So these nobles are probably Morgott guys. They're touring through. And we know more Morgott guys are at the Dominula graveyard here. Yeah, with some of his soldiers and stuff. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't remember how frequently nobles and stuff appear. Why are there white flowers by where the gas would have come down? The poison gas? I think it's a very good question. They just have them growing. And it's funny because like it's red for the longest time, and then it becomes these white flowers. And it's always consistently around there. I don't know if the idea is that the drug they created is somehow like a poison that's like a fertilizer for a specific species of plant or something. Like I say, I find it so funny. I think we finally had it stop. Yeah. I just find it so funny that when we get up here, it's so much red. And then you get in here and the white starts taking over. There we go. I was up to you like they're not in this side? No. I'm gonna assume the idea is just a very overworked troll. Like him and his other buddies, they have been way too overworked cleaning up battlefields basically by themselves, because clearly Morgott can't take the time to focus on doing a concerted effort when he's, you know, waging a war. Another guy here, all calm. Yeah, I need to mention the white flowers at least. Yeah, because perfuming flower magic. Yeah, I have to assume that the poison gas is what causes these white flowers to grow. Like, it's poisonous to man, but it's good for plants. Did you ever come up with a reason for the abductor virgins? As in, like, abductor virgins in general, or for the ones in the fortified manor specifically? Yeah, we got more bats over here. I'll leave that in case I want to look at it later. Yeah, this guy just going through. And then we have the nobles who are trying to make a return home now. But they can't, because the gate is not opening, and we all know there's nothing on the other side. Fortified manor. I assume the idea is just that they get around. That's generally my assumption with abductor virgins. If you need to ask why they're at the place, don't question it. The idea is that, like, they're just getting around. That's my actual response. So I don't think there's any, like, I don't think there's like, oh, Morgott's collecting them or what. I think it was just a matter of, it's like the Black Knights in Dark Souls. Like, can the devs broadly rationalize putting that enemy here? Okay, sure. Then they're just going to be concerned about, okay, where is, when do we need to mix things up and add some variety? And I think that's the idea with the fortified manor. Oh, this is a good time where we make it like a bunch of... Okay. This is a good time for us to do an entire room full of abductor virgins that you have to get through. I think that's the idea. Okay, so that's covered. Obviously, we have the camp setups here. Don't remember what that is. I think this is the Ash of War, right? So... could be relevant. Nothing crazy here either. All right. Like I said, we're not going to talk about like the Gelmir Volcano Manor stuff. I think that stuff should be separate. We have the nobles, of course, out here. We got some soldiers helping patrol and crap like that. Some foot soldiers, at least. They're just kind of looking around for crap. All right. I think this area is pretty much clear. I think most of these guys here would be going in Gelmir, so... I could be wrong. But yeah, I think it's better if we do this with Gelmir and stuff. We've seen what happens when there's like a bunch of convoys with like people and stuff with the nobles. This is another question I have, is these rocks, because these are rocks that aren't used everywhere. They're in like, you know, they're in like only like so many locations. It does make me wonder if there's any lore significance to these long, you know, square shaped rocks and stuff, because like we find them obviously on Gelmir, but like we find them here where like the Ul Palace was built. I think you might, yeah, you find some like obviously here and obviously mixed in there, a little bit there, I think. Then like I think it pretty much disappears for like all of this, and I don't remember seeing any in Kaled. I'm pretty sure we don't see any on this east side either, which again has me curious. It just makes me kind of wonder what forms these rocks. Is there actually a connection, or do they have like, oh, they just needed some random rocks and it just so happened to kind of work out and pattern the way it did? I don't know. All right, so that covers that. Altus Plateau, Erdtree Gazing Hill. Yeah, all this would be Gelmir. And then we're definitely not talking about the stuff with Godofwa or going to the Stormvale and recruiting an army. Like, none of that is going Inch the Shattering / Morgott analysis at this point. That analysis is long enough as it is. Radahn and Melania's last battle we don't have to mention in detail. We just have to talk about the conscriptees in general. We have to talk about the pumpkin heads, of course, but they're pretty simple. Nothing really. Oh, perfumers with like stuff like the battlefield uplifting and things like that. Yeah, I mentioned that. Okay, so I think that covers it. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. He just want to reinforce this. He just has the tree sentinels there, but I think that's fine because it makes sense because this is the area where they seem to have actually made their breach. Oh, we have to talk about the mining too. Working with the other guys for mining, at least mining the ore of the meteorites and all that. Coming close to forming cosmology thesis outline, Loki, bro. I wouldn't say that, no, Bray, but I will say, I've been writing a lot more on cosmological stuff for sure. Like God Hunt's definitely like opened that door. So I've definitely been writing more and more on the cosmology. I can't say though I have a unified theory for it yet. I have like bits and pieces. I understand some principles and stuff, but I can't say like I thrown it all together where I'm like, okay, I understand how everything relates to one another. You know, I have not gone deep enough with my fundamentalism. I need more knowledge and faith. Yeah, okay. So if we're just giving like a very broad thing with the shattering being like basically first defensive lane Dell, very brief. Second defensive lane Dell, we'll go in decent detail, but not talk about the enemy nature. Which honestly simplifies things as well, because like the stuff I'm focusing on is general with Morgott and how he feels and what he's going through at that moment. So I think that's fine. Altus Plateau. I think we're good here. I like the idea of a lot of the topography in the lands between being remnants of the pre-giant or Titan civilization. That's also satiated deep speculation territory, though. Yeah, well, this is the problem for me going into like that type of far back in the history stuff. Like, I'd have to first establish what the modern history of the fire giants is before I go to the idea of, oh, where did the giants come from? Who are their ancestors? What did they do? Right? Oh, another thing I wanted to do was this. Because this is part of Capital Outskirts, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, another thing, I'm now like I think I'm now firmly of the opinion that the idea with the the two fingers with the runes is that this is the proof of the greater will forsaking the demigods by taking away the benediction of their runes. Yeah, this is just capital outskirts. Okay, so I need to make a separate folder for the Divine Tower Bridge in capital outskirts. Because obviously we have the actual tower here and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I need to make sure that gets done for good reason. Yeah, so divine towers are going to have to be doing that. It also makes sense to me that the idea is that it's the greater will and stuff that acted this, because these towers are technically called not divine towers but divine gift towers, right? Like the idea is that it's something you receive from God. And if there's the idea of you know, a divine gift, and keep in mind the gods would include the demigods and stuff like that, this would make sense. So it works on multiple levels, whether you think the god is referencing, or the divine is referencing the greater will or the demigods or what have you. But like obviously Radahn's rune, Godric's rune, Ronnie's body, that's also technically a divine gift, right? Also it technically contributes to you becoming a lord of a sort. Rykard, Morgott and Moog, and Melania, like all the towers I think were essentially, oh, whoopsie. This, there we go. All right, let's get out of here. There we go. Oh, and that's why the locked doors open after you kill them. Yeah, that could definitely be the reason. That could definitely be the reason if the idea is, oh, oops. That would definitely make sense then. Let's see if I can do that actually with this, because I want to read the exact message it says to see if there's any hints there. If not, I can check the JP to make sure. That's for sealed. Probably Stormveil would be the best option, yeah? No, but I've definitely killed Godric. Like, I've 100% killed Godric. Yeah. I don't think I've killed Radahn yet. Oh, but I don't want to scale that tower. Whatever, I can just look it up online. I'll look it up online, it's fine. But yeah. That would make the most sense to me. The only question I have is why the two fingers are dead. One idea would be that maybe the act of taking the blessing is just a technique or a power that's so difficult for the fingers it kills them. Because the idea seems to be that the two fingers can only be killed by the power of the greater will itself, right? Like they can't die in any other way, so it has to be either the greater will or some agent of the greater will, like I guess theoretically the Elden Beast maybe or something. But that'd be weird because that's like the power of the Elden Beast is the power of gold, and yeah, we don't see anyone try to kill two fingers with gold. Like Ronnie's entire plan becomes really stupid if it's like, oh, you could have just used the power of holiness, Ronnie, like just get a random ass holy dagger and stab them, right? So I'm pretty sure the idea would have to be that it's not the power of the runes. It has to be the power of the greater will itself that is like maybe channeling or something like that. I guess you could also say Marika, maybe, because technically she's also a dead god who can be used to hurt the greater will and its envoys with her like holiness and all that stuff. Just thoughts. But yeah, the idea of this being divine gifts makes the most sense to me in the context. It's like, yeah, you only get this because Ronnie, again, one of the quote-unquote gods, gives you her body in the rune, which lets you become a lord for Fia and stuff like that. And the others are, of course, the demigod runes. So all of this makes sense with the idea that these are, you know, quote-unquote gifts from God. Something you receive from the gods. And then... So that's explicable. And the back to my point about the two fingers, the only other question I would have is if the two fingers is the idea that the fingers were always in the tower. Is it the idea that they took the blessings, then they like just kind of pieced out? We still don't get a full idea of what the two fingers can do, especially when it comes to moving around. Obviously, Ronnie was able to keep hers basically trapped on the Moonlight altar. But does that mean that none of them can like teleport or something? Or is the idea that the Greater Will is doing all this stuff on their behalf so it can like break all the rules and things like that? Those are a lot of questions I have. And again, this gets into, as Nobre was saying earlier, some of the cosmology stuff. Also, I want to revise my stuff on Kenneth. I can't believe I feel like such an idiot. Because I get very vague and open about it because of the nature of the weapon and the possibilities. But it's like, oh, duh. Kenneth has a the Erd Steel dagger that is used by royalty in self-defense. It's also used by the perfumers. It's also for the perfumers' self-defense. And of course, the Third Church of America is here. So it's like, oh, the Height family are just the perfumer family that were instrumental with helping America manage her little church laboratory here. And so they were given control over this entire territory as a reward. I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. Yeah, somehow they're getting up to the top of those towers. So somehow it's happening, whether they're doing it on quote unquote foot or through magic or something, right? Now, again, there could be the idea that they were always up there and they were using the towers as like a signal thing or whatever to like contact the Greater Will or what have you. I also don't want to discount the possibility that America may have been the one to send the two fingers there to create the Realm of Shadow. I think that's definitely a possibility that like the entire Realm of Shadow was done with the help of the two fingers. And they were essentially used as like relays to help triangulate. Like, okay, we want the land in boom, 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 boom. Let's concentrate our power on getting this land here into another dimension with the shadow tree, you know? So all of that makes sense there for me. Like, I just have to kind of like flesh it out, see which one's more likely and all that stuff, you know, the works. But the stuff with Kenneth now, I'm like, oh, dough. I should have realized sooner. Like, of course, like, I should have, I just feel so stupid because I'm like, yeah, of course, America's operating in this region. Godfrey's going off to battle while America's operating in this region. Give it to the perfumer family who are staying to help defend America. It's like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. I cannot believe that I didn't connect the dots sooner there. Nothing we have to worry about with Weeping Peninsula or Limgrave, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that should cover what we have. Like I mentioned earlier, the Room Bear stuff is for Farm Azula, so I don't have to worry about any of the Room Bear lore, even though it's some cool lore. I might end up cutting the... I know I originally was thinking of putting the prisoner stuff inside the Shattering. I might cut that now, just because I think that there's just so much going into it. I think this might feel ancillary, but we'll see. We'll see how it develops. If so, I guess I'm going to have to find a place for it in Caria or something. Or maybe I save it for Melania because the Malay Murray thing where he also takes a golem and reprograms it, quote unquote, to be used. Oh, I have to think that one over. Liurnia, we don't care about whatsoever. And there's nothing really relevant for Kayla and stuff beyond the fact that we're talking about Melania and Radahn's clash, how it's the final battle. No one was victorious in the end, and therefore everything falls apart. This makes the Fell twins even more interesting now, because it tells us that Morgoth is aware of where his runes benediction and stuff out, along with Mohg, and in possible collaboration with Mohg is creating the Fell twins as a kind of guardian to keep anyone else from getting it as well. I wonder if that was post banishing the Tarnish and everything. All right, chat, I think I've gone over all the ideas that have been going through my head, and I think I've covered it. I'm tired. Again, I'm sorry I haven't been streaming a lot the last few days. It's just, like I said, I'm just tired. I'm so tired. The doggo has been a lot of work. I'm hoping that's going to improve a bit. It's definitely going to be improving by the end of next week. I'm very much looking forward to when we get to that point. But yeah, so apologies again. You know, I haven't been able to stream very consistently. We're behind on a lot of things. I 100% want to keep up with everything. But, you know, real life has always come first, especially when it comes to this pupper here. She truly is a menace. All right. Yeah, nothing last minute's coming to my brain either. That pooch is running you ragged for real. Yeah, she is. She's it's just a lot, you know. It's you know, you're trying to take care of essentially like a baby on speed with everything else that I'm juggling at the moment. It's so much. It just really gets me tired and stuff like that. And sometimes it's just like, man, I have so much more to do. I can't afford to stream. So like I said, I'm sorry guys, you know. I know my schedule's been very on and off lately, especially because of the pupper, but it's been really bad these past few days. So I'm trying. I'm going to be trying to do it as consistently as I can, but thankfully she's been quiet today. We got so much energy out of her. She's being quiet, and that's what matters. Yeah, there's nothing else really with Morgoth related. So yeah, I think we're going to stop this here. Again, thanks so much, everybody. Always lovely having you or whatever. Again, apologies for everything, but I'm going to at least try to come back for another stream tomorrow.